What the heck was that?
The sound seems to be coming from the closet. Let's check it out. Oh. Review my games, or the next thing to appear in this closet will be your corpse. Well, looks like I got no choice.
Every round of Crawl feels like a grueling journey of betrayal and heartbreak, filled to the brim with fast-paced gameplay and constant change. From what I've been able to find, the idea for Crawl was born in an event held by friends in 2013 dubbed the Multi-Jam. In this event, all of the participants were required to create local multiplayer games and then test them out together. For the Multi-Jam, Barney Cumming came up with the idea for Crawl and called it 4-player RPG. After the Multi-Jam, Cumming worked together with programmer David Lloyd to create the Australian development studio Powerhoof and the game Crawl. The next year, it was up on Steam Greenlight, and 3 years after that, Crawl had its full release. The entirety of Crawl takes heavy inspiration from the 1985 game Gauntlet, and the arcade era of gaming in general. All of the sound effects have a typical arcadey feel. The art is completely pixelated, and just like Gauntlet, the game has a slight air of dark fantasy mixed with a dungeon crawling and generic fantasy aesthetic. The art style and sound design isn't anything groundbreaking, but it gets the job done. But the music by composer Alex Yoder is more than just satisfactory. It completely sets the tone for the game. It's frantic, exciting, and plays non-stop. This ensures that players are even quicker and more panicked than they already would be. The music does get repetitive at times, but the track changes with each floor, so no one track will stick around too long. As far as different gameplay modes go, Crawl does allow 1 to 3 of the other players to be AI, but the game is clearly made with the intention of playing as a group instead of alone. Crawl also has a practice mode where you can try for a high score by killing as many heroes as possible with 1 life, but again, the main mode is really what the game is built for. As for that main mode, every game of Crawl starts with each player picking from 11 gods to worship or 5 to scorn. The god you worshipped or scorned decides what 3 monsters you'll start the game with, and gives you a little buff which can vary from extra damage, a special item, or more powerful summons. But whatever you do, don't scorn Glub. The game then opens with you and your buddies each doing something depraved in their own corner of the dungeon, but only one of you can leave this room alive. Not because you wouldn't make a great team, but instead because a narrator appears and everyone knows there can only be one protagonist and no one wants to be stuck as the Robin of the group. Once the protagonist is decided, you wander from room to room trying to gain experience points by killing monsters that are summoned and controlled by the other players. Once you reach level 10 and find the boss portal room, you can try to defeat the boss. Whoever kills the boss first wins the game. Playing as the hero, you can spend gold at the shop on 4 specific item types: stat potions, weapons, skills, and trinkets. Crawl has light RPG mechanics, which means that every hero has their own stat pool of strength, which gives more damage to your swings, vitality, which gives you more health and upgrades on level up, and agility, which gives you movement speed and attack speed. Stat potions aren't just a straight upgrade, but instead will upgrade one stat by 2 points while removing 1 point from another stat. Weapons have 4 main stat lines: damage, range, swing speed, and value. Weapons can also have extra modifiers like Dole, which lowers damage, or Thieving, which can steal gold. When you buy a new weapon, you trade your old one in, which gives a discount towards the new weapon equal to the value of your current weapon. Weapons also have their own unique attack animations. Some of the animations make the weapon nearly useless. The club. Skills can vary from a magic shield you can place to a hyper dash to a book that shoots lasers. Trinkets give various buffs like stealing items from the player in first, giving your character extra health, giving you extra effects if your character is bleeding, or buffing your monsters. Both the hero and the monsters have 2 moves, a basic attack and a special, which could be offensive like a spear throw, defensive like a dash, or a mix of the two like a bear trap. Each floor of the dungeon has a shop, a few rooms with enemy summons and traps, and some stairs to the next floor. As you adventure on, your health will inevitably get lower and lower as you get hit by your friends, monsters, or traps. Healing your characters is generally not possible. There are a few healing items, and you can find health under beds or even find the classic Dark Souls bonfire, but it is exceptionally rare. Eventually the other players will kill you, but this is where the main hook of Crawl comes in. Whoever kills the hero gets to continue off from where the last hero left off. Each player has their own stats, items, and level, which means that if you go really far and get good loot but die, as long as you can kill the new hero, you'll be able to return back with all your old stuff. But the hero is only half the game. At the start of the match, every player that was killed becomes a ghost. As a ghost, you can possess traps and use summoning signs to have a monster randomly picked from a set of 3, which is chosen depending on the god you decided to follow. Ghosts get gold for any damage they deal to the hero, so once they become the hero they aren't left completely behind, and to make sure they get the chance to spend it, if someone kills the hero they can spend 5 gold to teleport directly to the shop. The entire time the game is going, ectoplasm spawns all around the screen. The ghosts can pick this up to make slimes that they can summon at any time. The slimes are weak, but when they're summoned in a room with several traps it can quickly become deadly. The slime mechanic ensures that every game is chaotic and encourages the players to not become complacent, since every second spent doing nothing or shopping ensures you'll have more slimes to deal with later on. Additionally, anytime the hero levels up, all the ghosts get a resource called Wrath, which is used in between dungeon floors to level up their selection of monsters from level 1 to a max of level 4. Each time you level up a monster, you get to choose from one of 2 monster forms. Generally speaking, one of these will be ranged and the other melee. Every monster you control as a ghost has a unique attack and special. Sometimes the upgraded monsters build onto this, like changing a dash into a dash with spikes, and other times the upgraded monsters are completely different. Some of the monsters feel a lot weaker than others of the same level, but since it's a party game, this doesn't affect the enjoyment of the game as much as it would otherwise. I think the most entertaining upgrade to a monster is the Witch, which has the special ability of shooting a tiny, slow projectile that temporarily turns the hero into a worthless frog. The monsters work together to try and kill the hero, but once the hero's health starts to get low, allegiances will falter, and it quickly becomes every man for himself, as the monsters scramble to get the last hit on the hero. The chaotic last moments of the hero's life are always intense and generally the most interesting parts of the game. Bosses are also controlled by the ghosts. Each ghost will control one section of the boss, which depending on the boss could be a head, arm, or tentacle. These fights take a lot of coordination between the ghosts in order for the boss to be threatening, as each boss has some attacks like trapping the hero in a bubble or turning them into a chicken, which sets them up perfectly for basic attacks or more devastating slow ones. The players collectively have 3 chances to try and take down the boss. If the boss is not defeated on the 3rd try, then the game is over, and instead of a conventional victory, the winner is decided by the hero that has gathered the most experience points, except for the player who failed to defeat the boss on the 3rd try, who becomes the grand loser. The game is balanced around the idea of everything being overpowered at the same time, which works exceptionally well for a party game. It makes it so that one second you can turn the hero into a frog, and the next you can have a hero that one-shots monsters. The only thing that backfires with this approach to balance is the boss fights. Although they work well most times, the bosses can sometimes feel like an absolute pushover, or insurmountable, especially if the hero has the berserk skill. This can become a problem since the boss is always the end cap to any game. Instead of having an epic final battle, it oftentimes becomes a slaughter. But even the bosses pale in comparison to the strongest monster in the game. What do you think it is? A ninja? Maybe a beholder? Nope, it's Gabe Newell, complete with a growable beard. Even with its slight balancing issues, Crawl is a really unique couch co-op experience, where you can go from being a bloodthirsty savage to the best of buds with your opponents in seconds. Crawl succeeds in being a fun and a fast-paced party game with rounds averaging 25 minutes. Overall, I highly recommend Crawl, provided that you have 3 friends to play it with, since turning the AI into a frog is only mildly entertaining, but turning your friend into one is priceless. Wait a second. That note from the closet said games, not game, didn't it? Oh, I hope I'm wrong.
Looks like I'll be seeing you guys next week.